would like to start today with Mr. Raymond Joseph Sanborn, who is the Harry Thacker Burleigh Prize, who won the Harry Thacker Burleigh Prize in Sacred Music. Mr. Sanborn?
Thank you. I'd just like to say thank you and President Clayton, distinguished faculty and fellow graduates. It's a great honor for me to be here, to have won this award, and I thank the foundation for that. I guess my own involvement in Catholic education, I'm a vice principal at a Toronto high school called Archbishop Romero in the Catholic school system in Toronto. We have a very large system there, and I've been in leadership for 25 years there. And I've been involved for around that period of time. And during that time, I've worked with many great people that have helped me in my studies. Of course, our young people, as anyone involved in teaching, are sometimes our greatest teachers. I have also learned much about life and what it means to be a Christian in today's world. And all of this has formed me into who I am today. The Lord chooses to speak in His own way, as often as difficult as this can be for us. And I'm appreciative of that truth and all the people He has sent me to form me and to be His instrument and to help make a joyful noise to Him. In terms of sacred music, my journey began in a small parish in Cornwall, Ontario, where I'm originally from, at Blessed Sacrament. I was approached by a priest way back in 1978, seems like a million years ago now, and his name was Father Bernard Cameron, a very righteous and good man. And one time he approached a friend of mine, myself, my best friend in high school, Patrick Swift, and said, "Can you put something together for music?" And I didn't really know, as often happens in life, you know, those little things that happen sometimes can have huge consequences later on. So I didn't know what path I was starting on, but that was the beginning of it all. At that time, my whole musical world was typical for a teenager at that time. You know, I was listening to Staying Alive, dancing to the Bee Gees, and all that other stuff that we all did. Of course, I didn't know that as I did my thesis, you know, Staying Alive was going to be a key part of it. Be a theme song for many of us, I suspect. Over time, as the 1980s came along, my interest in music grew through blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of wrong notes, a lot of humble pie, along the way. What happened is that I learned those skills in hymnody, Gregorian chant. I developed an interest in that, and trying to expand my skills in both vocal music and on the guitar, and also in musicology. Those were the three interests that I was interested in, and also a little bit in liturgy. Through it all, I learned through parish work and different works in schools about all those things, and that eventually brought me in 2010 to the Graduate Theological Foundation. My work here at the Graduate Theological Foundation was built upon work I did at St. Francis Xavier University and the University of Toronto. I developed an interest in what I would like to call the ordinary sacred music of the people. Every week in the church, there are countless musicians and parishioners that bring their musical gifts and skills to the Lord, and it was really that story that I really wanted to focus on and tell, rather than the story of a masterwork or a master musician, as important as those people are also. It's the work of these people that I really wanted to focus on. In my thesis, I did it on, there's a famous carol that's famous in Canada, it's kind of gone beyond that, called the Huron Carol. "'Twas in the moon of winter time when all the birds had fled." That one, you might have heard it or not. But that is an iconic Christmas carol in Canada, and I really want to tell the story of that carol. It goes back to the very beginnings of Canada, when Canada was then known as New France, and the arrival of the St. John de Brebeuf and his companions in 1625 in what is today Quebec City and that whole area, and actually coming down into what is today Wisconsin and along the Mississippi River, actually even into this area. So that was my original interest. That's what my thesis tried to deal with. What I discovered when I was doing that research is that there were a few things I tried to do in my research, was that trying to focus on primary sources, the words of those people themselves, both Wendat Christians who the Jesuits were working with, and also the Jesuits themselves. Also, I tried to tell the story in an interesting way by letting those people speak through the primary sources that were available. The Jesuits, I didn't realize how verbose they were. The Jesuit relations they wrote letters and reports back to France. And I didn't, so I really wanted to have access to those reports. And there was a huge, it's typical of the Victorian era, that one of those huge historical projects where they collected all of that work and they put it in volumes. Well, you and I, a few of our letters might be maybe like 100 pages. Well, these guys, it's like 20 volumes of work called the Jesuit Relations that became available around 100 years ago. That was all collected. So I had to go through, in my thesis, I had to go through and find all of the references to music and trying to find a direct reference to that Christmas carol, which I did find in different ways. What I discovered was that, in fact, you had beginnings of an indigenous hymnody, an indigenous church music there, and the Huron Carol is kind of a representative of that. So that was kind of what my thesis told. In that work, I really was inspired by some great people that you sort of like meet through those sources, both Wendat Christians, who they were working with, but also the Jesuits. Besides almost killing me doing that, it was a great faith experience also doing that. So I appreciated all of that. At the end of the day, in terms of, that was my journey here. It began in Cornwall, Ontario. It's kind of, ending today. I thank the foundation for the opportunity to pursue those studies. I worked with a fantastic advisor, Dr. Christoph Tietze. I've had some great professors here, like Professor Slaughter, but also other professors in liturgy, in church music, in those things. And the foundation was a great experience for me to be able to continue that advice. It was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. It wasn't always easy, as it probably wasn't for all of us. But I did appreciate the flexibility of the institution, the patience, and their own inspiration, and also the inspiration of all of us here, in different ways or whatever. So that's my my little thing on what I've done, where I've come from. It was great this morning having talking with other scholars. I guess coming from Canada, my one, coming over the border in Sarnia, Ontario, of course I was worried, with all the things with Homeland Security and these things today. And I got there and the guy was asking me, well, where are you going? The usual questions. I said, I'm going to South Bend, Indiana and graduating Graduate Theological Foundation. And the guy immediately knew what that was. And lo and behold, I'm sitting there, he's holding my passport. I said, just give me my passports, I want to get going. That's all I wanted to do. And he starts singing to me at the border. So I felt that was a sign of divine intervention. It was The King of Glory comes. It was one of those songs saying, oh, thank God, I'm going to make it into the country. Okay. Anyways, that's what happened there. So it's great to be here. It's a great day. Thank you. I know that many of you have similar stories. It's great to hear from those, and thank you very much.